Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey,
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an IE.
and I'm Sweetie with a Y.
Well, we're climbing close to Halloween. Wow, that came out weird.
You're having a stroke?
Just about a week away, guys. Halloween is next Saturday. Very cool, very cool. We had a spooky party for Sweetie's birthday on Sunday, so I feel like we've already kind of got some of our Halloween.
Yeah, I got the spooky out.
Yeah,
It seems like Halloween
out.
is over
I know.
already.
It's weird when you have that early party.
We got spooky.
I know, totally. But it's not over for the Large Marge Santa's podcast because still got some spooky hits for you, including today, which is my pick. I chose Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So, Elvira is like, it's from 1988, and it's sort of like a campy, Morticia-like character, let's say, who is maybe like original goth girl. You know, she loves the spook. That's just kind of her, not even her brand. It's just...
She's a goth girl, but she's a valley girl.
Yeah.
She's like a goth valley girl.
Right.
Because she's like kind of ditzy, but also spooky. But yeah, she's Elvira's horror host from the 80s, I guess. I didn't read up on all of her history, as Sweetie did.
Yeah.
But did she
fill in the
start
blanks.
as a horror host and then this movie happened, or like?
Yeah. So basically, so the actress's name's Cassandra Peterson, and she was in the Groundlings. So that's the comedy. What do you call that? Like not group,
Comedy
but
troupe?
Sort of troupe. Yeah. Based out of LA, right? That Paul Rubens was a part of, Phil Hartman, and she was actually in that like class of them.
Cute.
Yeah. So she was like buddies with them. And so she has like a base in comedy, but actually she started out in Las Vegas. She was the youngest showgirl in Las Vegas history at 17 years old. Still, I think holds that record. She thinks. And she met Elvis there. I'll tell that story later. It's really good. And then she went to the Groundlings and was kind of in this like comedian kind of like track, and was mostly trying out for comedy roles, and she got little bit parts in like Happy Days and like some other show at the time. And then she got this opportunity to be the host of this like horror movie show on like a local LA TV station. So it wasn't a lot of money, but she really loved horror movies. She always loved like old horror movies and Vincent Price, and she was just like really fascinated by that whole world. So she's like, okay, like that sounds like a really cool job. I'm just going to do it, even though it doesn't pay anything. So she wanted to make like a character out of it. So she made this sort of, like you said, like needed to look kind of like a vampire, but she got a lot of success by having this sort of ditzy girl like image with it, right? So thus like Elvira was born from that. So that was in 1981, and then she really kind of started catching, I think, speed in the LA area. People were like, "Oh, can you like be like at my husband's birthday party, or can you be at the opening of this like car dealership?" Almost kind of similar to the Ernest character, I think. Like started kind of like comedian guy, like in the comedy circuit, not necessarily like stand up, but like whatever. And then kind of makes this character for themselves and sort of starts locally, and then like gets big. So then, like, she really started getting noticed, and then this movie came out.
Oh.
And she became sort of like this 80s staple, I want to say.
Totally.
So I don't know if she hosted some other, like, after this movie, like, or before, other, like, creepy things, or did she do, like, a Tales of the Crypt kind of thing?
Yeah. I think it was something like that, but, like, on broadcast more, like, nationally.
Right.
Because I feel like that's where I remember her from.
Maybe. I don't know. I honestly can't remember. Like, when was the first time I saw Elvira? Just probably like in the back room at Spencer's Gifts. Like, what is this?
Yeah, definitely. She was just like that icon of like creepy, and woman, which was kind of unique, right?
Right, but I didn't have any sense of like her comedy or anything like that. Like, I always just thought she was like a spooky, like sexy person. Like, I didn't know much about the thing.
Yeah.
She kind of scared me a little bit. I think I was just, like, as I've said before, naturally just scared of gothic people, like when I was little, and so maybe that was a little spooky. And she, like, her sexuality was so blatant that I was like, but yeah, that's all. I didn't really know a ton.
That's why I was so fascinated by her. So I saw this movie when I was a pretty little girl. I want to say like probably like 10 or something.
Pretty little girl.
A pretty little gal. Probably like the age of 10 on like local TV or whatever. And I'm like, who is this? Like, what a cool bitch. And obviously
like
she's very like, you're very like, everyone I don't think can like take their eyes off of her body, which is just banging. I mean, she has these huge boobs. She just has a great body in general. And obviously like this cool hair, obviously crazy eye makeup. Like, she was just really cool. And I remember this movie felt so scandalous to me. And like that it would be one of those movies. I don't know if you had this experience when you were little, where you'd be watching it, but then if like mom and dad came in, you'd be like, I'm not watching this, and like turn the channel, or you'd have like the changer right next to you and be like, oh, like change it. So you didn't want them to know you were like watching this sort of stuff.
It's very adult.
Yeah, very, very adult. So I always felt really scandalous watching this, but was pretty fascinated by her. I remember like a couple scenes really stood out for me. The main one being like, and like I've said basically through this whole spooky month, like I was pretty freaked out by horror stuff. So I also thought this was like scary, even though it isn't at all, because it's like pretty campy. But when she makes the casserole and that thing pops out, I remember that always. That was the scene that like stuck out for me, being like, oh my God, like so freaky. Anyways, so yeah, love that Elvira, with watching it through the eye of now 37-year-old in 2020. Man, I like love her even more.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's
cool broad.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's like she was, I want to say, ahead of the times of like being free to be sexual, but also like tough and witty, and like wasn't like, didn't play into her sexuality. Like, she was always in on the joke, it felt like. It didn't feel like she was being like put out there like merely just because of her body, you know? Like, I don't know if I'm describing that correctly, but it just seemed very hip, very like today. I was shocked.
Oh, totally. And like, 75% of the jokes are basically sexual harassment jokes, like towards her body, or men making, these comments to her, but she gives it to him right back, whether she gives it to him
Every
back
time.
physically, like fighting them, like removing their hands from her chest, whatever. Or, and this is the thing about Elvira that I didn't really, because I think watching this when you're too young, you don't get any of the sexual jokes. So every line she has is like this zingy one-liner, a double entendre for like sex stuff. I mean, it's hilarious and like really clever. I laughed at almost every line she had. I was like dying. So funny, and just like that very easy comedy way, but still like that's like pretty clever, which I always enjoy. I don't know. I just think like funny, even simple comedy writing like that, I just get a huge kick out of it.
As Jimmy, sweetie with an eye, sweet eye, said, very Mel Brooks kind of, where it's like, it is silly, but there's something clever about it in some way. Unlike Ernest, who's just like stupid. Right. Like there's it doesn't feel like there's substance to that, but this, I feel like there is. And so I'm really sad that I didn't really know about her when I was little. I feel like I probably would have been like a cooler person and maybe would have latched on to horror much sooner. And I'm sad that wasn't too into her like when I was into horror. Like I fucked up everything.
Missed the Elvira
and
boat.
I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, I had a good time. Movie's weird, but it's pretty funny.
It's so weird. It's available to stream for free on like most of the things. So honestly, get on this if you want like a little spooky. It's there for you, and like I swear to God, you'll enjoy it. So let's get into it. One tight plunging black dress at a time. It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah, sweeties. How's your head? I haven't gotten any complaints yet.
Oh, but
Or second one. I put the boob in boob tube.
Woo!
That's a pretty easy one.
Yeah, that's cool. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, is an LA horror host who is unhappy with her new boss, who seems to be a straight up sexual harassment rapist, who literally just like grabs onto her boobs and is like, milking time. Like, okay, what?
Well, even before that, he gives like no pleasantries. He just jumps into like basically like coded
When
words
are we
for
gonna
let's
have
have
sex?
sex.
Yeah.
Like disgusting.
Very weird. So she quits and she's like, fuck this. Her dream is to go to Vegas and like put on a show at the Flamingo Hotel. Or whatever resort,
and she had it all lined up.
She had it all lined up, and then she gets a letter, I guess, that's like you need to pay to put this on, so you owe us like $50,000.
Which in 1988,
that's a lot of money. Yeah, where the hell is she gonna get that? So meanwhile, she gets a how did she find out about this? A telegram or something that her great aunt.
You're
her
singing
great
telegram.
Aunt,
Yeah.
great aunt Morgana has died and left her something in her will, so she has to go to this town in Massachusetts to come get it. The town is called Falwell, Massachusetts.
Not a real town.
Real town. So she gets in her awesome like car, convertible black. I don't know cars, but it's like
it's a 58 T-Bird.
Sure, I was going to say that definitely.
All right.
It's decked out in like leopard print seats, but like black and white. And then she has this like cool headscarf.
You know what I like about her too is that obviously a lot of her imagery. Okay, so it's all black and skulls and like spikes and stuff. But then she has a leopard side
it's still
to her.
feminine.
Yeah,
I think that's the ticket, and I think again it plays against this type of like always being feminine and pretty and hot, but like no, you can be like a badass and still feminine. Like she's so current, she's so modern. I just can't handle it. So she goes on this like wild, quick cross country drive. Meets a few creepers along the way, and then eventually makes it to Massachusetts. So she ends up in this very like Puritan town of like 1,300 people, 13 people, so 1,313 people, 13. And yeah, it's just very uptight, and everyone just like sees Elvira and they're like, oh my God, blah, and like can't handle it because her boobs are like ginormous, and they're like, they can't handle it. But you know who does like her? The kids in the town. At first, the little boys, the teenage boys are like goo goo gaga over Elvira, obviously, because she has big gazungas, as they say.
Well, it's that thing where like all the men want to be with her, all the women want to, not all the women, but the teenage girls want to be her.
Yes, yeah, they're like, oh my God, this amazing sex symbol, like that is great. I want to be that. Basically, what Sweetie was talking about when she saw Elvira. So her only people that like her are these people and this man Bob, who's like this giant dummy, who's like very sweet, but like sweet. I just don't understand.
I think he rode a bike. Is that right?
No, he got in like a truck and drove away. You mean a bicycle?
I saw him on a bicycle, and I'm like, he doesn't even have a license. Okay, that must have been a kid.
He's just like a big like oaf,
big
but like cute, but
buffoon.
like sweet, like a Patrick Starfish or something from SpongeBob, where you're just like, what is going on with you?
He has a fat head.
I just don't understand why his character had to be like that. But whatever. I guess it makes sense because it kind of plays into the like Valley girl with like dumb guy like stereotype.
And she kind of wears the pants. I feel like,
she wears the pants, so you can't have a guy that like has it together. I guess. So they kind of strike up this friendship romance type of thing. Meanwhile, the evil like biddy in town, whose name is like Charity or Chastity something, Burbank or something.
What is it? She makes like a joke about it. Like, Pariah?
Oh. Yeah, Chastity Pariah. Who is like going about the town just like spreading the word that like she's this like horrible harlot who's just here to cause trouble. She's like a prostitute, just basically saying all these things. So
and Chastity is like the president of like the Morality Association or something.
Whatever that is. Yeah. So she's like just like dragging her name through the mud, basically. So Elvira can't get like any footing in the town. I've skipped over everything. So she gets the will. So she goes to the will reading. The will reading states that Elvira gets her great aunt's house, her poodle and her recipe book, like her old recipe book. And she's like, what the fuck? She's like, I needed money. And she's pissed. She meets her great uncle, Vincent, who also is in the will, but he gets nothing because he was given her the rest of her estate, which was zero, like she squandered it or whatever, so zero money. So he's pissed, and for some reason he really wants the recipe book.
Yeah.
So he makes a deal with Elvira and is like, I'll like give you $50 for the recipe book. And she's like, yeah, sure. Like any money is some money on the way to her, $50,000. But I mean, like, ask for a little more than $50 because that's like not a good. Like, I just feel like if she's like, I need $50,000.
No.
Okay, yeah, I'll take $50. Like, what? Get it up there.
Every little bit counts.
Right, but like she just wants the money. So she goes to the old house, and it's like ramshackled old, like Addams Family style house.
What is that style of house? I mean, I would just say Addams Family.
Gothic,
like,
Victorian?
Yeah. Why did those exist?
I know, I don't know. But also like the Bates Motel.
Yeah,
right. Or the Bates
Exactly.
Motel house, whatever,
Yep.
Bates house. So she decides that she's going to try to fix up the house to sell it because apparently that will get her like $70,000. So she's like, all right. So the teenage boys and the girls come over and help her fix it up. And they like paint it these crazy colors. She loves it. And then some things start happening. The dog's like acting weird and like keeps like grabbing the book and running away. And then she's like having a sexy, she wants to put on a show. Oh, so Bob has a theater, I guess. He like owns this theater. And so she wants to put on her show, her like horror show for the kids. In which ends in like this great dance number to the Flash dance song, Maniac, which is like so good. It was pretty funny, and she does all these like fake acrobatic tricks, which are perfect because in Flash dance, as you know, there's like a acrobat doing like some, and then like the break dancer stuff.
And they have like her leotard is, the Flash dance leotard was basically like a thong in the back, and then
super
like
high cut, yeah,
and like fishnet tights. But then of course Elvira, she has like the low cutness of her dress goes in the leotard as well, so she's doing these like crazy gymnastic stunts with like these boobs like all out everywhere.
Pretty funny.
So good.
Pretty funny.
And these black leg warmers with like the black pumps.
And yeah, she's getting ready to do the big like thing where she pulls the rope and then but she has gold glitter in the bucket. Unfortunately, her nemesis, Patty, who runs the bowling alley called Tidy Bowl.
Horrible, but good.
What is up with that? Why is it a good name? Like a toilet bowl?
Yeah, well, it's like a double
entendre?
It's a clean bowling alley, but also like Tidy Bowl, the toilet bowl cleaner.
There's a toilet bowl cleaner called Tidy Bowl?
I think there was. Yeah.
Huh. Good for the toilet bowls. So Patty hates her because I guess she's like wants Bob, and Bob like doesn't give her the light of day because he's only interested in Elvira. I don't know. This woman seems crazy. Has like these giant pointy boobs and wears like she's like stuck in the 50s or whatever, like in her bowling alley. I don't know what's happening.
And randomly, who hangs out at the bowling alley but Kaniki from Greece?
Kaniki from
so
Greece.
That's weird.
Oh my god! Yeah, what are the odds? It really is a 50s dream. But
we're not kidding. Kaniki is in this movie.
No, yeah, Jeff Conaway is in this movie, and he plays like a nasty like goon who like is the bad guy's like strong guy or whatever.
He's
they call
basically
that.
sexual harasser number 3.
and no, he's like 10. He's like there had already been like 9 before that part, but. Anyways, so yeah, Patty like fills the bucket with paint and then like it splashes and whatever.
And feathers.
And feathers. So
Elvira
goes home with Bob and is like super sad. She bathes in what Sweetie clued me in on was gasoline to get rid of the paint, like paint thinner, I guess. I don't really get that. So like that's the only way you can get rid of paint is like with paint thinner. But is gasoline paint thinner or is paint thinner something different?
They're both very flammable. I think they both contain maybe the same like chemical, ethanol or whatever that is.
Interesting. So like for
I don't think paint. You could put paint thinner in your car and it would like run, but I think similar properties.
Right. But what do you do with paint? Like, okay, these walls have paint on them. Mm-hmm. Would I take paint thinner and like throw it on, or
paint,
like what do you
usually
do?
Like sand it or like chip it off. Usually, like you don't really do paint.
Then
thinner.
what's the paint thinner for?
Paint thinner is for like
making paint thin.
Yeah, you make paint thin with it.
What? Why do you need it thin?
If it got on stuff, I don't know.
I'm Googling, you Google paint thinner. Okay. I'll get back on with the synopsis. Well, we figure out what the deal is with paint thinner. So she decides to cook Bob like a meal because he's hungry or whatever. So she gets her great aunt's recipe book, which is what they've been calling it. So she thinks it's like food recipes. She sees words she basically does not understand, thinks she finds a casserole recipe, starts making it. It has very strange ingredients like worms and other like herbs and weird nasty things in jars from her great aunt's kitchen. She makes it. It smells okay, but it looks bad. Looks like caca. So she like puts some cheese whiz and or spray cheese. Spray cheese, yeah. And
cheese whiz is like the nacho cheese.
Right. And then crunches up some potato chips and sprinkles it on top.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. She walks it out to Bob and is like, "I hope you're hungry." And then she takes the lid off. This giant creature like comes out of it and like is kind of looks like the eels from The Princess Bride, but like is also maybe a dinosaur. Like I'm not sure, or a snake.
Or reminded me something in The Gate, maybe. Like
maybe it was weird.
Strange.
Yeah, it was scary though. And it tries to like eat them. They put it down the garbage disposal, and then they kill it. And they're like, "Whoa, that was crazy." And then the dog, whose name is Algonquin, but she's shortened it to Gonk, is like barking, and like they go and follow him. It leads them to the attic, and then this like creepy old trunk, and they open it, and there's a letter to Elvira that's like, "Dear Elvira, like you're actually a witch. Your mom was like one of the most powerful like priestesses or like mistresses of the dark, and then your uncle like tried to kill her, so I had to hide you at this orphanage." Stuff like that. So she's like, "Whoa, that's weird." Yeah. Should we take a break for paint thinner lessons?
Oh yeah, sweetie. Update on the paint thinner.
Great.
A paint thinner is a solvent used to thin oil-based paints or clean up after their use.
So it can... Okay, but why do you need thin paint?
To clean up after their use or thin it.
Why do you need to thin it? What is
What
the
do you
benefit
use
of
paint
thin
thinners for?
paint?
Paint thinners are solvents that can dissolve paint and reduce viscosity of paint or thin it for use in sprayer applicators or when simply needing a thinner mixture to work with.
Okay.
Because they dissolve paint, they aid in removal of paint on brushes, rollers, and general cleanup or spills and splatters. So you wouldn't put it on a wall.
Okay.
But it's about thinning it.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Just like we thought.
Yes. Got to remove the paint. Because it is hard to get paint
Or
off you.
thin
I
it.
mean, you like got to really scrub. And usually just like, you got to just let it
Yeah.
like take its time.
Good luck.
You got to get new skin. But I mean, she was like covered in it.
Yeah.
So I guess the bath of paint thinner like was the way to go.
I don't know. Seems dangerous. I don't want that in my vajayjay. Like, whoa, bad. Yeah. So she like does another spell in the book. She makes a snake or whatever, and then she decides this is how she's going to get her revenge on the townspeople. So she tries to make that like scary stew again. Leaves it at the morality picnic, and they start eating it. And they're like, "This is great." Basically, she messed up. She like flubbed the recipe or like subbed in hamburger helper for like the worms or something, and it turned into an aphrodisiac. And they all start just taking off their clothes and like trying to get it on and getting it on with each other. So I guess they all get arrested for public indecency, and then they decide like, "I didn't do it. It was a spell." Blah blah blah. So then Vincent comes and says, "You know what? She's a witch. And you know what's illegal in Massachusetts? Still witchcraft. Let's arrest her." And then at some point it turns from arresting her to just like burning her at the stake.
We didn't see no trial.
I missed it. Meanwhile, Vincent's like main goal is still to try to get the recipe book. So like that's his like main priority, it seems like. So the townspeople make this like crazy old bonfire in the town center and like keep Elvira in the jail. Her little like teenager friends try to bust her out, but just like fall into another jail cell. Good one, guys. Like, sorry.
Good one.
Try again. Gonk escapes in the form of a rat because Gonk's a familiar, so he can change forms. Goes and like rescues Bob, who had been clobbered over the head by Vincent's goons to get the recipe book. So now Vincent has the recipe book. But Gonk brings Bob to the town just as Elvira is getting like engulfed in flames. Gonk like reminds her of something in the letter that was like, "The power's been in you all this time." And then his eyes light up red and she's like, "The ring." So I guess she had been given this ring when she was a baby, left at the orphanage. this red ring. So I guess that's where her power is.
Right.
Think of it like the amulet in Teen Witch.
Right.
So she uses that to like make this lightning bolt thing, and then a storm happens and it rains, so the fire goes out. And then Vincent gets all scary.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. Like he
turned
did
around.
some sort of incantations because he has the recipe book or spell book now.
Probably.
And because he really is like some kind of warlock too, but like he didn't have the, I guess, access to that spell book, so really like couldn't do anything about it.
Yes. Yeah, maybe he did like a crazy spell or something.
I don't know. But then suddenly, and this is when it starts to take a really like a little bit more gory like horror twist, because he turns into this sketchy like dead looking priest. And I told Sweetie, it's nothing scarier than like a creepy ghost priest or whatever you want to call that.
A dark priest.
Yeah, a dark priest. Like the dark priests are really scary. I don't know what it is about that like get up and then their faces being like all fucked up.
It's all, like,
so he
all
has like
scary.
nasty gross teeth. He's like progressively losing his hair. He seems to just have like really bad skin condition now.
Yeah, his face is getting all like sunken.
Yeah,
and, like
he's like he's dying or almost
Yeah,
like getting
maybe.
undead or something.
His soul is dying.
Yeah. So he so then he goes after Elvira. So the townspeople like scatter because Vincent is like, Vincent starts like harassing them.
It turns them into
people into
pigs.
Yeah. So then he goes after Elvira and Bob, and Elvira's like, oh, like, let's fight this out. And they think they're going to have this, like, big thing with the necklace. Bob tries to save her. He gets knocked out. Gaunt tries to save her, gets, like, thrown into a dumpster. So it's just her and Vincent. And she has the ring, and she's trying to, like defeat him with the ring. And it slips off her finger and goes to him on his finger.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
Maybe he did it with his magic spell?
Yeah, I don't know. So then she runs away, and he's chasing her with the ring, so he kind of has double power now. She runs into a gun store and gets like a bazooka and turns her little Elvira getup into a Rambo getup, complete with like a red, fabric headband like that. And tries to blow him up, but I think he's dead. I think he's real dead.
Well, he's too magical or something.
Yeah, and he's too magical.
Or whatever. I don't know.
So then she's like running away from him, and all she kind of injures him in a bunch of different ways. She throws her stiletto heel at his forehead, and it sinks right in, like stuck to his head. That like distracts him for a while. She runs to the house. She's able to like get inside and kind of lock herself in there, but then like sexual harasser number 3, Jeff Conway, is in there. It's like one of Vincent's goons. He tries to like get with her again, is like touching her boobs, and she's like, okay, get away from me, and throws leeches in his face. That's pretty cool. And
she
then,
like destroys him completely. He's like,
soul
dead. Like, calm
crashes
down.
through the locked
We've
door.
all seen Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Like you
That
just
was-
like,
and they were, like,
peel him
tiny.
off,
They were
burn him
tiny.
off, motherfucker.
So then Vincent
Calm
comes
down.
back, and now he's super evil. Like he has a totally different haircut. Like he's like a buzz cut now, and it's just looking like eviler by the second. He like tries to grab her through the window, and she is able to like cut off his arm, and that's like or hand. Coincidentally, the one with the little amulet ring on it. So that's like crawling around the house somewhere. And they're in this like kind of epic battle. Like he's trying to burn, he's like breathing fire out of his mouth. I mean, it's getting like real rough. And the house is basically like burning down. She gets a hold of the amulet as that hand finally like crawls towards her. And she's able to get him, like basically like blow him up, right?
She like deflects his spell with the ring, and it like makes him like poof into like, I don't know, demon smoke, and then he like goes to hell or whatever. Seems to be he's gone now. So great, nice. The recipe book burns up, but she keeps remembering like the power's in you. So she's like, okay, I guess I don't need that book. And then her and Bob are like sitting outside, and she's like pretty sad because like she doesn't have the recipe book, the ring. She has the ring, but she can't like make it work now for some reason. So she's kind of moping, and then the sweet little lawyer guy comes and is like, I've been trying to find you. Like, now that your uncle's gone, like, you get all of his estate and money. And her uncle, or great uncle, was actually rich, unlike her great aunt. So he actually has money. So she gets all that money. So now she can make her dreams come true and put on her Vegas show, which is amazing. And that's how it ends. We get to see her dance number in the show.
Yeah, I'll just say it was about 10 times better than the numbers in Showgirls, the movie. They're really cool, had like a cool spooky theme, and it's sort of the grand finale is she has this sort of bra with like booby tassels, and they're like spiders on them, and she does this like cool thing where she does like one boob and it spins around, then another boob spins around, and then she can do both boobs, and she can do them in different directions. I mean, guys,
I'm gonna try that.
Major talent, really cool. Apparently Cassandra Peterson, something she learned in Vegas, that she had like honed that technique and hadn't used it for a while, because like I said, she was a Vegas showgirl when she was 17, but she said she was like riding a bike. She just was booby tasseling her way to fame.
It's really impressive.
Yeah. So it ends, and so Elvira, everything does come true for her. She gets what she wanted. Her Vegas show.
Lovely.
And Bob's there too, so I'm assuming they made it.
Oh, he was at the show? I didn't even notice. Wow,
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. So pretty kooky. A couple of spooky parts. There's like the creature coming out of the pot, as Sweetie said. There's also that like spooky part where she's having a dream and then like sees that scary old woman in the mirror who's maybe her great aunt or something. That part was cool. And it's a little spooky. And then, the whole end part with Vincent being, like, undead, like, weird, scabby priest
that
is,
was,
like,
that
pretty,
got pretty
spooky.
scary. I don't remember that part at all. Like I said, the only part I remember really was, like, her in that car, the leopard kind of look she had, and the thing coming out of the pot, and the dog. And maybe the burned at the stake.
Whoa.
Part. Yeah, that was it. But I don't remember, like, the Vincent character at all.
Right. I've definitely never seen this, but I have seen the her dance number. I don't know if they like turned that into a music video or something that I saw on MTV or something, but I remember watching it. And there's this part where she's holding one of the furry spiders. We don't need to say the name, and she's like holding it up towards the camera, and it's like walking, and it instantly reminded me that like, oh, I remember watching that as a child and being like, ah, like, that's because I hate when like spiders just like appear in things, and it's like, God damn it, like why does it have to be a spider?
Totally.
But that was my main memory from this. So
yeah, really fun, just like a really fun movie. So as we said, this takes place in Falwell, Massachusetts, which is a non-existent town of Massachusetts, because we're from here and we know every single town. Well, I don't, but Sweet Eye Jimmy like knows every town. I use him as like basically my Massachusetts atlas. I'm like, honey, where's this town? And he knows where it is. It's weird. Anyway, he was a geography major. So
specializing in towns in Massachusetts.
He would. So anyway, but I always thought that was funny that basically any movie that is about witches tends to take place in Massachusetts because of the Salem witch trial, right? Mm-hmm. And they almost always make up the place name. Like I feel like in Witches of Eastwick that was true. This one, I mean, Hocus Pocus takes place in Salem. Mm-hmm. So, but why don't they just use Salem? Why can't they use Salem?
I don't know. And it's not. I mean, they could literally use any of the outlying towns around Salem, because like all of the witch trials were like around those towns. Like it wasn't just Salem.
Oh, totally.
So I mean, maybe they don't want to like have to like get permission from that town, or like if the town doesn't think it'll like portray it well or something, maybe they can push back. I don't know.
Well, I guess so. This wasn't filmed up in Massachusetts at all. It was filmed at a film lot, because it does look kind of film lotty.
I feel like I've seen things filmed in some of the set pieces in this movie before, including like a photo shoot on America's Next Top Model season 4 in an old gas station, which was in the beginning. But yeah, definitely can recognize the lot vibe.
Yeah, definitely felt like that. But that made it like all the better in some ways. What else? I thought her character, like I said, sounded like a lot like Diane Keaton. So I don't know what that says about either her, like or Diane Keaton. Yeah. If Diane Keaton kind of has a little bit of that ditzy vibe, which I guess she kind of does.
Maybe. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe. Yeah.
But it's like, I get what she was going for in that kind of ditzy way, but I don't find her like, she doesn't come off as like dumb.
Well, I mean, there's a couple like lines where she like doesn't know what like things are or like mean. She like, usually it's just a case of her like using the wrong word for something. Like doesn't know big words and like that kind of thing. So they have like a little bit about it there. But I would say she has street smarts.
Yeah, right.
So it's all good.
Totally. What else? So mostly I have just like trivia facts. Do you want to talk about anything about the style, the clothes, any 80s stuff?
Elvira wears the same thing throughout, except when she has like her little set pieces. So like her leotard for the flash dance thing, their little like kind of Rambo outfit was a little
But
different.
they're all takes on the big dress.
Right,
And
yeah.
her nightgown.
Right, yeah. So to bed she wears an Elvis shirt. I feel like, what do you call that hairstyle? Like mullet head?
So it's like a bouffant, I think, beehive sort of style, which was so she worked with her friend on the costume and the look and everything like that. So I guess Cassandra Peterson, and I don't know what it's from, but has some terrible burns from like a childhood incident. They don't go into, I haven't read of like what it was. But that dress perfectly covers like all the parts that are burned, as does that wig, I guess. So that's like strategically placed. And the wig was modeled after that kind of 50s doo-wop group called the Ronettes, where they had sort of like high hair like that and like maybe like a long piece in the back. Hers is pretty like exaggerated because it's supposed to be, you know, kind of like creepy and gothy.
Yeah.
But I like love all her clothes, as I said, and I love like her random like touches of leopard and stuff like that. And they wanted her to look basically like vampire Barbie, but because it was taking place in the 80s, they added like studs and the leather and had her do that kind of toughness about it, you know, almost like goth, but like in hair bandy kind of like, you know,
or kind of like a Vampira kind of, who was like a really early horror host from the 40s or something. But yeah, definitely. So I'm just Googling Cassandra Peterson burns, but nothing comes up. You can't see them. I guess she doesn't show them. But yeah, who knew?
Yeah, who knows what happened to her? But you can't tell, obviously. Cassandra Peterson has a role in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I put this on my story. She is in the biker bar, sort of like the woman leader of the biker bar gang. When he like he goes into that bar and like wants to. He wants to make
trying to use the
phone. Yeah. So she is like this tough looking lady. I mean, the great thing about Cassandra Peterson and what she says about herself in general is that she's known for this Elvira character, but out of that getup, no one can recognize her because she has basically long strawberry blonde hair. She doesn't have that eye makeup on. She looks totally different. So she can live like a totally normal life, but actually be this super celebrity. So if you see her in this, she's kind of unrecognizable in Pee-wee. Like, I don't think you'd... I mean, her face is obviously like the same.
I didn't really... I mean, I mean, I never knew that until I was older and, like, read it in the IMDb trivia, so...
Right.
Yeah.
So she's friends, like I said, with Paul Rubens because they were both in Groundlings. And she was in his movie, so he really wanted to be in this movie. But unfortunately... conflicting schedules with big top Pee-wee.
I thought you were going to say, unfortunately, conflicting schedules with being caught masturbating.
No, I think that was until later because it was 88, so I feel like that was until later.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Get them next time.
I know.
I can see them doing like a remake. They did a new Pee-wee, so why can't she do a new
I know.
Elvira?
I feel like she still looks like pretty good. You know?
Yeah.
So that what they call the macabre mobile is like her cool, what I said, 58 T-Bird. They bought for this movie and totally revamped it. They bought it for $2,500 and they put $7,000+ of alterations in it. Whoa. So obviously adding all the leopard, the skull wheel, all the cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then Cassandra Peterson owns it and uses it for like little junkets, like when she does her Elvira character.
Oh my God, cool.
Oh, cool.
Pretty cool.
So awesome. Brad Pitt auditioned to be one of the teenage boys in this movie.
Didn't get it.
He didn't get it, but Cassandra Peterson is on record because I guess she was at a lot of the casting because it was her character and she was pretty heavily involved in everything. She put next to Brad Pitt's name on his audition, Yum Yum.
Wow.
She knew a star when she saw one. That would have been really funny to see him in this. Cassandra Peterson wanted Tim Burton to direct this movie. So, I mean, it got
Makes sense. Well, he did Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So.
Right. Oh, yeah. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but he was busy filming Beetlejuice. So glad he did that movie because one of our favorites, but that would have been cool to see him because I don't know who directed this one, but it felt very
Phil something, remember? It was
It felt pretty low budge, like that style. Phil Rubenstein. Who has done... Okay, well, he's done... Oh, wait. Oh, this is always so annoying when they're, like, known for, but you don't know if it's, like, for the director or what?
Yeah, gone IMDb. Fix your UX.
Wait, I'm only seeing actor here. Sort by...
Well, let's just see who directed the movie. Maybe that's not who directed it.
No, it is.
Well, does it say it?
It says Phil is known for Tango and Cash, RoboCop 2, Star Trek 4, and Mannequin, but I think those are for acting.
Oh. Maybe he was like her friend or something. And they just did it? No, the James Signorelli did it.
Oh.
Okay. We got it now. We got it.
Sorry, guys.
Director. Ooh, SNL skits. So he's like a comedy guy.
Yeah.
Mostly like, Police Academy too.
Okay.
Best of John Belushi, Elvira, and then all the like Saturday Night Live specials.
Okay. It did feel like kind of like that.
So that makes
easy
sense.
money.
I mean, I feel like it was good because it like fit with the like horror host vibe of that, where it's very B movie kind of feeling. I think that's what they were going for. They definitely achieved it.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. Sweetie, do you know any other horror hosts?
Horror hosts for TV shows?
Just like if you do you know what the like the classic like Elvira was a horror host in the 80s. Do you know other examples of horror hosts?
The Tales from the Crypt guy?
Yes.
Okay, this movie makes me think of that kind of show, and I wanted to bring it up and want to kind of watch some. Do they have those like on streaming and available?
Maybe. I watched one. So, okay, do you remember this one? This is the one that like
the poker one where the fingers get cut off.
So like that's haunted me pretty much my whole life. It's this Russian roulette kind of game where they like spin the gun, but instead of like shooting, you cut off your finger if it lands on you. I guess like I don't really get it. It's pretty weird. And it's scary, but only because it's like gross, like scary. But that Tales from the Crypt guy is so scary. The Crypt Keeper, like that used to just freak me out. I think I just like hate like ghouls with like very little hair on their head, where they have like just shave your head, ghoul. Like you don't need like one strand of hair like stuck to it. No. So he was a big one, and I guess Vincent Price was like technically was a horror host.
Right.
Freddy Krueger became one kind of after Nightmare on Elm Street. He had like Freddy's scary movies or whatever, and they would go on. There's like still some that are around today, but like I said, Vampira was one. Sven Gulli's like a big one that's like been around for a long time. Joe Bob Briggs is like a huge one that horror fans love. But yeah, they were just like these schlocky hosts, usually on like local cable access, where they would introduce like old B movie horror movies and like have some kind of like comedy. It was usually involved with like a comedy bit of some kind. Yeah. And they all had like a spooky character involved in them, except for Joe Bob Briggs, who was like a redneck like cowboy. But yeah, it was just a funny thing that like some people were really into, like in the horror. Like when I was a horror blogger, some people would be like, "Oh my god, horror host!" I'd be like, "I don't know who these people are." Like it just like wasn't. I mean, we didn't have anyone local. I don't think for us. So we would have only seen like the big like ones who are popular today or whatever. Mystery Science Theater is kind of similar.
Right. So I would say
vein.
like when in this movie when she does the thing at the movie theater and she's talking along, narrating basically to Killer Tomatoes from Outer Space or something, which is just
Attack of the Killer
Tomatoes, which is just like a horrible like horror movie from the 50s or 60s, and it's basically Mystery Science Theater because she's like narrating it and putting all these jokes with it and stuff, and it's really funny. And I remember watching, if you ever watch Mystery Science Theater, that's pretty funny, that show. And some people asked if we like do that when they hear our podcast, and they're like, "Oh, are you like watching the movie as you're doing the podcast, like a Mystery Science Theater?" And I was like, "No, but that could be really fun." I don't know how we do it, but how would you do it, like on the radio or on podcast?
On the radio, on the podcast.
On the radio.
What we're doing now.
But wait, going back to Tales in the Crypt. So that felt almost to me like what I said in the beginning. I like thought that show was very scandalous, and again felt like very like, oh my god, I shouldn't be watching this. It was on late at night at HBO, and HBO was new, so I feel like we're one of the early subscribers of HBO. Like Dad got it pretty quickly, So we were lucky to get all that, but it did feel. I mean, let's get real. I probably was watching it with Dad because he let us watch whatever
watching
we wanted.
it in the basement, late night.
Oh God! But I wonder if those are streaming because I'd love to watch a couple and see if they hold up to how creeped out I was by them.
Definitely, yeah. Let's do a mini episode.
That'd be really fun. Okay. I guess I'll close on the cool Elvis story about her. So Cassandra Peterson, known for Elvira, and she, as I said, was a showgirl in Vegas, the youngest one on record, 17 years old. And obviously Elvis, spent some time in Vegas and spent some time with showgirls. So he rolled up to whatever show she was doing one night, and this was when she was 17 or 18. And afterwards, he was so famous that he couldn't go out to bars or anything like that. He had to have the party come to him. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to hang out with the showgirls. So they all show up in his hotel. And she said he loved young girls. And because she was the youngest showgirl, he instantly just was very into her. Mm-hmm. So she claims it was very innocent. All they did was kiss, but they were up all night talking. He had bodyguards and all his handlers around the whole time. So it's not they could really do anything. But he gave her the best advice she ever got, basically saying she needs to get out of Vegas because if she doesn't, she'll be 30 years old, working a blackjack table. You can only be a showgirl for so long. You need to figure out something else you can do and get out of here. So I guess they were singing that night and he was you have a great voice. Why don't you do some singing? So then she got a vocal coach and then just got a role in the review or whatever showgirl show she was doing where she sang a song, and that sort of got her more other gigs, and she was able to get out of that and then kind of made the jump to LA, and I think going for that comedy route. So she said that was the best thing best advice she ever got, and she thinks Elvis so much. So
wow, go
big fan of Elvis. And how cool was that? Say, hey, I made out with Elvis.
Yeah, I thought you said they dated. I thought you said they were a couple.
I'm glad I clarified that story. He was going through his divorce with Priscilla at that point.
I see.
So he was a lonely guy looking for some sweet ass.
Yeah.
Dirty dog. Dirty hound dog.
Naturally.
Cool. Ain't nothing but a hound dog. Crying all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
So is that it? Any closing words?
No, just really fun. Had an awesome time. I'm really loving these creepy / spooky Halloween sort of themey kind of movies. Really enjoying them this time of year. Always do. And just not ready to move past it quite yet.
We don't have to.
Got another week.
We can still watch spooky movies when it's not Halloween, It's very fun.
November still feels spooky.
Sure. It's fall. Why not?
Yeah.
All right. Well, have you seen Elvira, Mistress of the Dark? Do you know Elvira? Do you like horror hosts? Come find us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Bye.
So many rape artists.
So many rape artists. Stop touching my boobs.